Hi everyone, this is Lynn with Mobius Home, and we're going to get started on the tutorial of creating your own room decorating board. You are only going to be seeing me from the waist down, but I just thought I'd say hi. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need are your supplies. You're going to need a board. And I happen to have these laying around my house, but some kind of light colored board. So if you don't have something lying around your house, you can always, at this point, order online a 20 by 30 poster board from Staples or art supply store. Doesn't really matter. Just a nice firm board. The one I have here is 24 by 24. It was already cut and it worked great for myself. I have all my materials picked and laid out. I've chosen my palette, and we'll talk quickly about how you get to this final board right here. I started with finding a palette I really liked. This one is Miller Paints palette for 2020 with their color of the year, Lioness, which is very bright and optimistic, a great pop color to add to any room, and then balancing it out with all these softer, cooler tones of paint. And like I had talked about in the webinar, you want to narrow down your options to 3 to 5 colors. I decided for this example to choose a base color, probably a wall color. We have this color sheepskin. I also found what Miller Paint carries as well is Metro paint. It's paint that's been recycled. People donate the paint that their old used paint, and Metro cleans it up and recycles it. So we have a couple options. They look very similar on film. This one's a little bit grayer. This one has a tiny hint of a pink tone. So I went with this as the neutral and chose a couple of the Lioness as a pop color, as well as Souffle. Both beautiful colors. They're very on trend right now, as you can see in some of these other images I have on the board. And then once I've narrowed down my color options, then I can start choosing all my materials. Over here I have some other swatches that I picked out. One way to get started, if you don't know what to narrow it down to, is to just grab all materials that match the palette. I chose a variety of materials. These are actually fabric materials, upholstery materials from Perch Furniture to start, and I gathered a whole bunch of different colors, and then these are perfectly beautiful color options to also narrow down for another palette, for another room decorating idea. But here is the example that we're going to work with. You definitely, when you're ready, want to have a glue stick or tape, or you can even use a hot glue gun. Some scissors. I happen to have a pair of paper scissors and a pair of fabric scissors, so I can cut out fabric swatches. And I have a lot of beautiful materials that were donated from Area Floors. These you can see right here where it's cut out are a whole bunch of fabric swatches that Perch Furniture donated to me. All the shops that you see here, all the examples they're all local from Portland, Oregon. And I decided in this example to pretend like I have a living room and entryway, which actually I'm recording in my dining room right now, and we actually do have an entry and living room space right behind me. So I wanted to narrow it down and want to think about how color flows from room to room. So in order to tie together the color and the flow of the materials, I'll start with the entryway of the space. And I have some of these wonderful materials that were donated to me from Area Floors. One direction you could go is perhaps this is an accent well, and this is the tile for the floor. It has a nice wood texture to it. And that's one thing to think about, is maybe you want the entryway to be the wow factor of your space. So we also have this other option. I have this company called Stickwood. They take recycled materials. They have a more rough finish and then more of a high gloss finish. And it's a great way of adding a wood to your wall. It just is made with an adhesive that you peel off and you stick to your wall, and you can learn how to take all the measurements through their website. So you have plenty of options. You might want to create a fun accent wall in the entryway, or a couple other options is this beautiful cement tile that now Juju Papers has designed. There's a whole collection of colors, and here you can see how the pattern would look. And here is an example of some other colors that would also tie in beautifully with this palette. So that might be the wow factor. And then, so the thing that I do recommend is you try to create more than one board. Once you've narrowed it down, you can tape down your options and then create another board. So maybe you do something really bold and fun, something moderately bold and fun, and then something a little bit more toned down, a little more neutral in tone. And the other option is you can always mix and match from different boards, because the beauty of collecting all your materials that tie in with this palette is that they work well together in any combination you decide you want to put them in. The other thing is just to remember about creating that balance and harmony in a space. So if we move into the living room, then I've chosen a few items, a really wonderful couch. Here's a version of it by Perch Furniture. And so you could certainly go and keep the couch neutral. Maybe you decide you want an accent wall in the living room using this really fun wallpaper by Juju Papers called Salad Days. Just love the names of these designs. In this image here, there actually is a yellow pop and then the gray pop. So again, I'm choosing materials and textures that will all complement each other. And perhaps in the living room you decide to go with carpeting. I always highly recommend using wool. Wool is by far the best material out there. Clearly, nature made, no sheep are harmed in the making of wool. And it has natural stain water repellent. It's easy to clean. If you take good care of it, it can last the lifetime of your home, really. I've heard stories. And then going into the living room, we've got perhaps a nice couple side tables and a coffee table. If you decide not to do wall-to-wall carpeting, perhaps a nice accent rug and a pendant lamp that has some of the cool and warm tones that go with the palette. Here are a couple of wonderful examples of how you can add pops of colors as well throughout the space. And if you want to go bolder, maybe you have both side chairs in this beautiful, I guess you would call it more of a flesh tone. It's not really pinky pink, it's a beautiful flesh tone. And then have your couch in the lioness, inspired by lioness color. But you can see here how much you can have fun mixing and matching. Take your time If you do have a time crunch and you're just not able to settle on something, then please do call the professionals. Call me. We have a lot of really great DIY plans where we create the boards, we find the materials and help get you a shopping list, and then you can run with it and come back to us and ask questions. But in the meantime, have fun with this, and please be sure to share what you come up with. You can send it to us in an email. You can share it on tag us in our social media on Facebook or Instagram, which I will share all that information at the end of the presentation. And most of all, hopefully you can see me, have fun, ask questions, don't be afraid, just make it yours. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.